Hey, what is up guys, I'm KBHD here, and welcome to the review of the tablet I waited so long for, the Nexus 9. This is going to be a pretty brief review because there isn't really that much different or new about the Nexus 9, nothing spectacular about it. It's basically HTC's safest bet ever. So the Nexus 9, it's a 9-inch tablet, it's running stock Android 5.0 Lollipop right now, and it's somewhere in between the Nexus 10 from 2 years ago and the Nexus 7 from last year. So like I said, it's a 9-inch display with this sort of a squarish 4:3 aspect ratio that all the iPads have. And it has this soft touch back, which is extremely similar to actually what we saw in the Nexus 7. It's not a fancy metal or anything, just a layer of thin plastic with a soft touch coating on the back. The bit of metal we do get is on the sides, which gives a tablet these flat sides for better gripability. It even makes one-handed use a little easier for me. But yeah, it's a thin, chamfered ring of metal around the edges where you can grip the tablet. And that's about it in terms of build quality. It does say the word Nexus on the back, filled in the same way it does on the back of the phone, the Nexus 6. And the camera on the back does protrude a little bit, but not enough to make it rock on an even surface, so it still lays flat, so that's fine. The only really noteworthy thing, actually, about the hardware for me is the buttons, which are terrible. They're awful buttons. They're really close to flush and super mushy. They're not clicky or tactile at all. If you closed your eyes, basically, and tried to press the power button, you wouldn't know when you turned it on or not. That's how little click there is. And if there was any less travel, it would literally be inside the tablet. It's ridiculous how hard it is to press. Now, HTC has apparently noted that this is a problem, so if you order a Nexus 9 today, you'll actually get a sort of a Nexus 9 2.0. It's a revised hardware model with new, clickier, more tactile buttons. So that's good for people who are getting it now, but that's not solving my problem. But one thing that's nice is HTC's built-in tap to wake. So you can double tap the display when it's off to wake it up, and that'll, I guess, help me avoid using the crappy button. Just, it's too bad there's no double tap to sleep, which means I still have to use the button to turn it off, but heck, it's a step in the right direction. Anyway, the rest of the hardware is totally fine. Up front, you have a 9-inch display with the 2048 by 1536 resolution, again, the same as those iPads. So that slightly larger display and pretty average sized bezels make this tablet, like I said, a bit larger than the Nexus 7 or the iPad mini. And the display is pretty good. I think it's one of the high points of the tablet. Its resolution makes it pretty sharp, so it comes in at over 280 pixels per inch. There's very little color shift, it's really saturated, and it's an overall really good looking display. Viewing angles are nice. So overall, I give a thumbs up to the panel. The only thing is it does have a bit of a light leak problem from the backlight. So when it's dark out or when the lights are off or you use this tablet at night, you will notice the uneven lighting, and we'll call it light bleeding in from the sides around the edges of the tablet. You can only find this on really low quality panels, but I only really notice it again when it's dark, so it's the only con I found to an otherwise very nice display. Flanking the display are, yes, dual stereo front-facing speakers. These top off the media experience of the Nexus 9 very well, and honestly, they're not even that great speakers again. They're pretty similar to the front-facing ones on the NVIDIA Shield. They're not spectacular, but simply placing them on the front makes them so much better than the iPad or the Nexus 7 speakers, which are side-facing or rear-facing. So front-facing speakers are great. They get loud enough that you can hear it from across the room if you're into that. It's not boom sound or anything, but I will gladly take it. Also on the back, you have an 8 megapixel camera. It's good for basically just scanning barcodes. It's not really a good camera for anything past that. It kind of looks similar just looking at it to the Nexus 5, but I don't see a lot of people buying this tablet for the camera quality. So yeah, it's there if you need it, but hopefully you don't need it. So yeah, you can tell there's nothing really all that incredible about the hardware of the Nexus 9 here. It's really all about the software experience. It's running the latest version of Android out the box, and of course will continue to be first in line for updates, so when Google releases them, here we have Android 5.0 Lollipop as smooth as ever on the 64-bit NVIDIA K1 chip, with 2 gigs of RAM actually. And a lot of what you find here is really just the phone experience blown up to a larger display that can also rotate landscape. Not sure if that's a good or a bad thing that it's moving towards that gradually, but I guess it seems like when we first started with Android on tablets, there were a lot more tablet-specific interface tweaks, like the notification bar on the left and the quick settings on the right. But I guess for the sake of continuity, it's slowly moving back to a more simplified interface that resembles a phone more. But I'd still like to see Android 5.0 take advantage of the larger display in a few more places. Maybe I just need to add more widgets or something. I guess since it's Android, I can do that. Either way, I really like Android 5.0 here, and pretty much all of the apps I use are here. So if you're coming from an iPad, that story might be a little bit different, but I'm a heavy Google service user, and this is great for me. And again, performance here is really smooth. Basically, as smooth as or smoother than any other Android tablet experience, except sometimes it likes to hang when launching apps. Like on a blazing fast 64-bit tablet, launching the YouTube app, it shouldn't hang that long. It shouldn't take that long to open up an app. It happened on occasion, but particularly when I'm multitasking a lot and a lot of apps are dropping out of the 2 gigs of RAM. But in the past, it hasn't really been a problem, and everything else has been as smooth as expected. And in-app performance, too, is also really smooth. It's a great media tablet, so I played a lot of games. It was smooth the entire time there, no dropped frames. Same deal with web browsing in Chrome, messing around with other tablet-optimized apps. The experience has always been very, very quick and very smooth, so that's great. You also get all the latest and greatest features, so if Google comes out with some fancy new features in Android that roll out tomorrow, people with a Nexus device will be the first to get it. I'll leave a link to my review of Android 5.0 right below if you want to check that out. There's some good stuff in here, useful stuff like screen pinning, lock screen notifications, and material design everywhere, all these animations. It's all good stuff, and I happen to love it. So yeah, Nexus 9, it's a nice, lightweight, good performing, compact tablet running stock Android. Because of its size, it's like right on the border between one-handed and two-handed use. Both are really okay. It's also a bit of a smaller battery, just to note. It's a 6700 milliamp hour battery, so you'll probably charge it every 2 or 3 days instead of every 5 or 6, like with the same usage on bigger tablets. Oh, and pro tip, if you're choosing between colors still, I would go with the white Nexus 9 and Nexus 6 because the black of the same material is a serious fingerprint magnet. The white doesn't really show fingerprints nearly as much. So at the end of the day, I have some very specific mixed feelings about the Nexus 9. I think when a lot of us heard that it was going to be made by HTC, we had these really high expectations for the build quality. The last notable thing that HTC made was the One M8, and that phone is known for its build quality and beastly speakers. So a lot of us were expecting this new Nexus tablet to be known for its build quality and beastly speakers. Well, it has decent speakers, but it's built exactly the same, really, as the Nexus 7 was if you added metal sides to it. So it's not that special in terms of build, and a lot of people are going to have that wake-up call when they finally receive it. So it should be priced lower. It's a $400 tablet right now for the lowest-end 16-gig Wi-Fi only model in the Play Store. And for that price, it's hard to recommend because it essentially feels like a slightly larger Nexus 7, and the Nexus 7 was really good for the price. It was known for how cheap it was. So you got to pick somewhere between really well priced and really premium and well built. And right now it's not striking that balance. I think this is a better tablet to be sold at $300. And I think sooner or later it's going to be sold for $300. Maybe not in the Play Store, but it's kind of hard to sell this tablet for $400. Also, in the NVIDIA Shield tablet is also out there running Lollipop with front-facing speakers. The NVIDIA K1, not quite the same 64-bit chip, but very similar specs and a really nice build for $300. It's sitting out there cannibalizing sales, essentially competing with this Nexus 9. So hard to recommend buying it for $400, but if you have to have a Nexus tablet, you have to have the stock Android experience first, so you don't get Lollipop immediately on the Shield tablet, then the software experience is what you would buy this Nexus 9 tablet for. And that's what I would recommend it for, people who are buying this tablet for the software experience. This is not a tablet to buy for the hardware experience because it's not that great. It's not going to feel like $400. Even the iPad mini Retina is completely made of metal and far outclasses all of the build quality of the other tablets out there that are made of plastic. So I recommend taking a look at the software experience if you want to buy this tablet. Otherwise, there are other... I reviewed the NVIDIA Shield tablet. I'll leave the link to that right below if you want to check that out too. And there are other options to consider. But if you gotta have a Nexus, you gotta have a Nexus. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to hit that thumbs up button below. And there are more videos like this coming, so be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Again, thanks, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.